You need to be brave. You need to be... The kind of criminals we have in South Africa need you. They force you to be brave.
This is the story of Nicole Johnson, a woman who lived between law books and luxury cars. The wife of an alleged gang boss, Ralph Stanfield, whose name drifts through whispers of murder, fraud, and missing millions. It is a story of trust broken, of money that vanished, of loyalty that curdled into fear. And it is the story of how one Cape Town family found themselves standing at the edge of a storm that may never end.
It begins with a story that seems too tangled, too theatrical, too absurd to be real. Yet it is real. A driver, an alleged gangster, an alleged gangster's wife, and a fortune of over 1 million rand that vanished into thin air. Nicole Johnson was 36 years old, a mother, a businesswoman, and a law student. Her husband, Ralph Stanfield, was 38, accused by the state of being the head of the feared 28s gang. Together, they lived behind high walls, moving in the shadows between luxury and suspicion. And then came the driver. The driver was not just a hired hand. He was more like a younger brother who had been folded into the family, perhaps because Ralph saw something of himself in him. They had known each other since childhood in Valhalla Park, a neighbourhood where survival often came before dreams, where loyalties were forged not by choice but by necessity. When the man came out of prison, still wearing the shadow of his sentence, Ralph gave him what few gang bosses are ever rumoured to give, a chance to start again. A house in Delft, a BMW with a deposit already paid by Nicole, and a job that carried more trust than most blood relatives would ever receive. He drove their children to school each morning, 2 young lives strapped into the back seat, as if nothing in the world was more normal. He filled Nicole's ATMs with hundreds of thousands of rand at a time, his hands carrying cash that could tempt anyone. But working under an alleged gang boss is not like working for a bank or a shop. The rewards are rich, but the dangers are lethal. Every errand is a test of loyalty. Every delay is a possible betrayal. One mistake, or even the appearance of a mistake, can mean a bullet. Those who live in that world know the rules. Once you accept the protection of men with that kind of reputation, you also accept the price. It can be paid in trust, or it can be paid in blood. And so, when the money began to go missing, when balances no longer lined up, suspicion did not settle quietly. It sharpened like a blade. The man who had been treated like family was suddenly walking a line where a single misstep could lead to the morgue. But trust has a way of rotting from the inside. Nicole began to notice the numbers slipping. A few discrepancies in the books, a few balances that did not match. Always, the driver had an explanation. Always, he looked her in the eye and smoothed it over. Until November 2022, when the shortfall grew to 500,000 rand, Nicole asked for a meeting, a reconciliation. She expected him to arrive with receipts, explanations, perhaps remorse. Instead, he vanished. Calls unanswered, the phone dead, panic set in. Nicole rushed to her walk-in safe. Inside, she should have found 782,000 rand. She found nothing. What she felt, according to her mother, was not anger, but dread. Not rage at the theft, but fear that something had happened to him. She did not want to believe betrayal had come from someone she treated as kin. But betrayal, when it comes, rarely asks permission. The driver would later say he fled because he heard Ralph wanted him dead. He hid. He stashed the BMW in Milnerton, and he lived like a hunted man. His fear became prophecy in September 2023. A car window shattering, a bullet tearing into his arm. He claimed the shooter was a man named Jose Hussein Brandt, known as Makeup, once an associate of Stanfield. The state pointed to this attack as proof. Nicole and Ralph, they said, had orchestrated a hit to silence the man who had turned against them. Nicole countered that she and her husband had been at Canal Walk, receipts in hand, when the bullets flew. The alibi held, but suspicion stuck like tar. Around them, the bodies began to fall. 2 of Ralph's cousins, 2 of his closest friends, shot dead. Was it connected? Was it coincidence? Nicole's mother asked the question aloud. No one answered. By September 2023, both Ralph and Nicole were in handcuffs. Arrested at their Constantia home, charged with racketeering, money laundering, fraud, extortion, even murder. More than 100 counts. The alleged empire of a gang boss and his wife laid bare in indictments thick as bricks. Nicole's bail was denied. Twice. The court ruled that if released, she might commit further crimes or intimidate witnesses. She sat in Polesmore prison, her husband in Brandvlei. 4 walls, iron bars, the stench of waiting. Yet even from her cell, Nicole moved money. 6 months after her arrest, in September 2024, she purchased a flat on Cape Town's Atlantic seaboard. A 2-bedroom apartment in Sea Point. Price tag, 5 million rand, paid in full. Unbonded, no mortgage. And she did this while awaiting trial, locked behind bars. The sale raised eyebrows, but not hands. The conveyancers, Smith Tabata Buchanan Boys, handled the transaction. The developer, Block, collected the money. Neither seemed troubled that their client was accused of heading a criminal enterprise. Neither stopped the deal. Investigators whispered about loopholes. Under the Financial Intelligence Center Act, estate agents are accountable institutions. But property developers selling directly often slip outside that net. No obligation to probe, no duty to question. A gap wide enough for millions to vanish through. Was the flat bought with clean money? Was it laundered wealth? No one knows. The source of the funds remains hidden. Whether Nicole paid directly from her account or whether a third party moved the cash is unanswered. What is answered is this. A woman accused of gangsterism and fraud, denied bail for dishonesty, acquired a seaside apartment while locked in a cell. Ralph and Nicole face allegations of defrauding a 1 billion rand housing development meant for Cape Town's poor. Their company, Glomix Housebrokers, was blacklisted for a decade. Yet the shadow of influence lingers. The machinery of their world grinds on. The story coils in contradictions. The driver who was family turned informant. The wife who was a student turned accused. The gangster who was father and friend turned fugitive. Money gone. Bullets fired. Flats purchased. Lives ruined. The 28s are not just any street gang. They are a lethal offshoot of South Africa's infamous Numbers Gang, specifically one of its 3 founding factions alongside the 26s and the 27s. While the Numbers originally held sway inside prison walls, each group had its purpose. The 26 amassed wealth, the 27s enforced the brutal laws, and the 28s were the warriors. The ones who spilled blood when rule or retribution demanded it. Ralph Stanfield, accused of leading the 28 street gang, often referred to in official documents as the Firm, is alleged to have inherited the mantle in a grim succession following the death of his uncle. Colin Stanfield, in 2004. He stands accused of orchestrating a brutal spree of violence, including involvement in the planning and execution of multiple murders across the Cape Flats, bodies left in the shadows of Gangland turf wars. The indictment levelled at Stanfield and his co-accused is staggering. 41 charges, spanning murders, attempted murders, armed robbery, theft of vehicles, illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, and fraud. Among the slain is Rashid Staggy, the notorious leader of the rival Hard Livings gang, gunned down in cold blood on London Road, Salt River in December 2019, a hit that echoes through Cape Townian criminal law. The charges also include the murder of a City of Cape Town environmental worker in Delft and the killing of another gang boss, William Red Stevens of the 27s, in Kraaifontein. Within the prison system, Stanfield's rise has been just as remarkable. he received a rapid induction into the 28th prison gang, a bypass of the traditional, violent rites of passage, and a sign of how street power can now eclipse prison culture in the underworld's hierarchy. Yet even behind bars, danger finds its mark. One of his accused hitmen, Abraham Wilson, was allegedly beaten to death during a raid at Polesmore Prison, a violent act that underlines how alliances and loyalties within these gangs can turn lethal, even in custody. Dealing with alleged gang bosses like Stanfield is never just a job. It is an invitation into a world where every handshake is laced with potential betrayal, where power is enforced with bullets and bodies, where the rules of law are replaced by a code writ in fear. Trust is a currency richer than gold and far more dangerous. And somewhere, at the heart of it, lies the question: who betrayed whom? Did the driver rob them, then frame them? Or did Ralph and Nicole groom him as a pawn until he became expendable? As the trial looms, the answers remain tangled. A driver in hiding, a wife in prison, a husband branded a kingpin. Millions of rands evaporated, and a city whispering the same name again and again, like an incantation it cannot forget. Ralph Stanfield, Nicole Johnson, two figures caught between wealth and ruin, between family loyalty and cold betrayal, between freedom and a cell. And still, the story waits for its final twist.
What do you think about this case? Is Nicole Johnson a victim caught in the shadow of her husband's world, or is she a key player in the unfolding saga? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more true crime stories like this one, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss what comes next.